Hi, this is Rob from MEDIAL. Welcome to our presentation today, which is on version 6 of MEDIAL, where we'll be running through the new features and enhancements in this version. Just some program notes here. This presentation will be available as a recording afterwards, and also you can visit our website to see the features of V6 in full, as well as extended videos on each of the features as well. So to begin with, to summarize, as we all know, MEDIAL is broken down into these three areas: MEDIALibrary, MEDIAL Live and MEDIALearning. So what I'm going to be doing is going through each of these and showing you what's new in each part of the product and running through the features and enhancements. So the first area I'd like to go through is the MEDIALibrary, which is our YouTube type interface to our product. So the new things that are in the MEDIALibrary. Firstly, we've introduced the new version of JW Player version 8. The takeaways here are really that the player is much smaller and faster to load as well. The next area that's been introduced into the MEDIALibrary, and actually within the product overall, in that this is also possible to do in the LMS that I'll run through a little bit later, is in-browser video editing. So the ability to trim, chop and export individual chunks of a video as a new video. And I'm going to demonstrate this in the browser now. So in the browser, how you access this in-browser video editing is basically through the upload wizard. So assuming a file has been transcoded and converted, you then have these options here to trim, chop and export from a video. So if we click on one of these options, this takes us into the interface where we can do all three of these actions. So briefly, a trim is basically top and tailing. So in this case, I've dragged these icons here, these little sliders, and I'm able to remove the start and the end of the video. A chop is removing a section from a video. So in this case, we're removing a small section from the video, and we're also simultaneously doing a trim of the video as well. So in this case, we're removing this start bit from the video, this end bit from the video, and also removing this section from the video. So we can do these things simultaneously or independently of each other. The last thing that we can do here is we can export a clip from a video. Exporting basically means that what we can do is we can add a small section onto the timeline of the video that we want to export out as an individual piece of media. So here again, we can adjust the slider, and we can do it to a fraction of a second as well. And we can also call our individual exported item from the timeline a completely new name from the original clip. The thing to note here as well is when we do this and we're exporting out this part of the video, we are also keeping the original video as well, or we're certainly given the option to do that. The next thing that we have in the MEDIALibrary is the ability to add things to a personal private or personal public category. So by default in version 5, everything that was added to a personal category was always made private, as in not shareable. And the way of enabling it to be shareable was to go into the browser and go to this little section here to share and then enable public access. Now in V6, this choice that you make to share the content in terms of the category, you make at the point of upload. So you can do that here even within the library, or you can actually do that within the LMS as well if you want to. The next thing to go through in terms of something else that we've added to V6 is the MEDIALoader. So this is a desktop application that enables you to put lots of content into MEDIAL in one go. So effectively what you do here is you put all of your content into a particular path on your computer. This is where you set the video scan path. And then what it does is once you put those videos into a folder, you click to generate a spreadsheet, and it basically creates an Excel spreadsheet that has some video metadata in it. And because we don't have any video metadata for those videos yet, what we do is we pre-populate the file name column with the name of the piece of media that you've put in there. So in this case, these were some MP4 files and some MOV files. Then what you have to do is fill out the rest of the metadata, so the title, the description, the category that you want the media to go into, tags, etc. At the end of that, you can click on this button to create XML files. And what this does is it creates, in that same folder that you've got the media, an XML file for each file that you have. The XML files are media files and can then be loaded into the upload directory or watch folder within Medial, and Medial will ingest those files one by one. So this just effectively what it allows you to do is upload a lot of content in one go without having to go through the upload wizard. And we've had customers that have used this already actually on thousands of files. So it does work on lots of files in one go, but obviously there's going to be a wait time for those files to be ingested. So the next area to talk about within Medial v6 is closed captions. So as many existing users of Medial will know, uploading closed captions is already available in Medial, as in Medial v5. You produce your captions file either through a third party or one that you create yourself, and you simply upload it. And we support the various different types, VTT, SRT, etc. But the change in v6 is the fact that you can now request your captions through Medial. So the first and most obvious question that most people that are watching this webinar will ask, because they're mainly administrators of the Medial system, is how do I permission the ability for users to request captions, because this is a service that costs money. So how you do that as an administrator is you go into the captioning area here and you create what we call a captioning profile. A profile basically has a name, and you define a language and whether it has an approval workflow. The captioning's profile that you create is then applied to users or groups. So you can apply this to literally one user. So if I wanted to give it to this particular teacher user here, I could drag them across into this area here, or you can actually do it on a kind of group level as well. So one thing that we built into Medial v6 is the ability to do this for a group that doesn't necessarily even exist in Medial. So this group is a group called LTI instructors, and enabling it for this group would give any instructors that use the Medial system through the LMS to have the ability to request captions. Also, you'll notice here that there's an access level, either the ability to request captions or request and approve. So you can have certain users that have the ability to approve captions requests as well. So in terms of the approval workflow, this is how it works. Approvers would have this list of captions that have come in ready for approval. So you can see there's one here that was waiting for approval, and they can either reject or accept this request. If they reject it, they can even give a reason for rejecting the transcription. So another question leading on from this is from the point of view of the end user. So what happens once this caption request has been made? So in practice, the video file is actually saved as an audio file and is sent to the captioning processing server for captioning, and then the captions file is sent back to the Medial system. So in this case, a VTT file has been sent back to the Medial system. So a user, once it's been sent back, the captions are automatically overlaid over the video, but a user can edit those captions as well. So here is the editor, and all that we're doing here is a very, very simple process. We're clicking play on the video, and then we're getting the ability to edit the captions as the video plays through. So a very simple change here might be that I want to change my name from Robert to Rob, let's say. Click continue, and that change is automatically reflected in the captions that appear over the video. Another point of interest here is that actually if the user ever wanted to download the captions file, it appears in the attachments section within Medial, so that file can be downloaded. and edited if they wanted to, or just supplied to somebody as a transcript. So again, going back to this from an admin point of view, there's kind of two questions here. How can it be deployed and how much does it cost? So the question in terms of how it can be deployed, effectively what we give you is we give you a captions processing ID, and this turns on the ability to request captions within MEDIAL. An important point to note here is that actually these captions files are sent off to a processing server, and this processing server from a data protection point of view could be in the EU or it could be in the US, dependent on where you are and the laws that apply. Every hour of captions that's requested comes off of the total that you've bought. We decrement off of this total on a kind of per minute basis, not a per hour basis. So if you do just caption a video that's a few minutes long, only a few minutes would come off of your total. The cost of this in terms of the bundles that you can purchase from us, they start at 100 hours and they go all the way up to 10,000 hours, and they vary from kind of $3 per hour to around about $1 per hour, and obviously that can be done in pounds and euros as well. If you'd like to trial this service, we can set up a trial account for you to upload some files and see how the service performs. Similarly, we can do a trial on your MEDIAL once you've upgraded to version 6 as well. So another area in the library that I'm going to demonstrate now is the area of analytics, and this is a big change in version 6, and there's a great deal more information that's exposed, and I'm now going to demonstrate this in the browser. So here we are in the new analytics area within MEDIAL. I'm logged in as an administrator, and we can see that we can sort the analytics by time period, something that we couldn't do before. We can do this by an exact date if we want to, or last month, last 3 months, etc. We've also got this new information here on the amount of daily uniques, the total time watched, the total completes, and again we can sort this by a time period. We've got loads of other information here as well about number of logins, most popular categories, etc., and the completed plays. The really interesting thing here is that we can drill down to these statistics on a per media item basis. So if we click into a media item here, again, we can sort by a period, but we can also see this really interesting statistic in terms of engagement over time. So this is a 2-minute long video, and what we can see here is the level of engagement of the total number of users that watch this clip over the time period. So we can see at the start lots of people were watching this clip, and there are peaks and troughs within this clip to at the end nobody watching the clip. So that's a really interesting aggregated data set, and it enables teachers and content creators to see the level of engagement with their video throughout their video. The other very, very interesting piece of information, combined with the amount of time and the amount of completes that each media item has, is the engagement by person. So a teacher or content creator can actually see each individual user and the level of engagement there has been from that user with their video. So this level of engagement is something that we're pretty strict on in terms of engagement. So we actually do a clever piece of maths that tells us that the user hasn't actually just skipped through the video to the end of the video. We can tell that they have actually watched individual segments of that video, and we can give them an engagement score out of 100. Another important thing to add here is that these analytics are also available in the LMS integrations in Moodle, Blackboard and Canvas, and they appear as a tile so that the teacher can see for their pieces of content that they've added analytics there as well. And I'll demonstrate that in a little bit more detail in this presentation. So moving on from the library, we go into the area of live. Live remains largely unchanged. There's been a few incremental improvements and bug fixes that have been done in the area of live streaming. But the thing that's going to come shortly after the release of V6 is the ability to do live streaming through the Media Lecture client. So look out for that one. It's on the horizon certainly, and it'll be coming soon. So the area of learning, there's been lots and lots of changes in this area, and I'll run through those changes now. The first change that's been made is a relatively significant one, and one that a lot of our customers have been waiting for pretty eagerly. We now capture webcam through HTML5, so we don't use Flash anymore for doing webcam capture. This is great because obviously this works much better than Flash, which is largely being deprecated by most of the browsers. The thing to bear in mind here is that this kind of webcam capture, because it's HTML5, is only supported in the Firefox and Chrome browsers, but we do alert users to that fact as is being illustrated here in this particular slide. Other things of note in the area of learning, we've improved our Canvas integration a great deal. So this was something that was done at the tail end of V5 and has gone into V6 as well. So we now paste the actual media item into the text editor rather than just a link. We're fully supporting the latest versions of Moodle with version 6 as well, all the way up to version 3.6 of Moodle. In Media Lecture, we've added the ability to do text annotations. We've also added the ability to add custom title and credit slides. So up until this point, Media Lecture had standard title and credit slides, which are ones from an inbuilt library. Now what you can do is add your custom ones. So effectively what you do is just create an image. In this case here, you can see I've created an image that's got the MEDIAL logo on it, and then you just upload that image, and that is your title and credit slide. So it just makes your presentations look a little bit more professional. Also, MEDIAL V6 with Media Lecture, you can now record system audio or record desktop audio at the same time as doing your presentation. So this is really useful for people that want to, say, have the audio track of a YouTube video at the same time as talking. And the other thing which I'm going to demonstrate now is the ability to use the Media Lecture screen capture tool within all of the LMS systems, so namely Moodle, Blackboard and Canvas. And I'm going to demonstrate that in the browser just now. So here we are in an LMS system. In this case, this is in Moodle, but this works exactly the same in Blackboard and Canvas. And you can see in the LMS, as I alluded to earlier, there's this extra option of analytics and also record screen. So briefly, before we go into recording the screen, we'll go into the analytics just so that you can see what we've done there. So it's a similar sort of layout to what I showed you before when I was logged into MEDIAL as an administrator. You can see all of the content that you've uploaded as an individual user, and you can search and sort by date. You can also go into an individual media item, and this is the really cool bit where the teacher might be able to see all of the individual users that have watched the video and their level of engagement with that video. So there's some really interesting statistics in there. To record the screen, if the organisation is licensed for Media Lecture and the user has the permissions to use Media Lecture, you've defined that, they literally just click on record screen. This opens up Media Lecture, and then they can then choose to record their screen and webcam, or just their voice. I'll record my screen and webcam. So now I'm recording. I can choose to do different things like the drawing tools. As I said earlier, we've got the ability to do annotations now as well. Most users, when they're recording in Media Lecture, would go into another piece of software, something like PowerPoint, and would show a slide deck or something of that nature. At the end of their recording, they're obviously going to click that they're done. This then takes them into the editing process where they can trim and chop their video. But as I said earlier, they can also add custom titles and credits. So here we'll add one. And we can obviously add a title over that. And then once they've uploaded their piece of media, because we recognise that a lot of teachers will go into another application to do their recording, we have the ability to customise the message that's shown to the teacher at the end of the recording process. So in this case, we're actually directing them back to Moodle because we know that they've come from Moodle. So we've told them to navigate back to Moodle. When they navigate back to Moodle, they'll find that their video is here within the window, and they can simply select that video and the video will be added to the text editor. At that point, the video will play instantly because Media Lecture has done all of the transcoding on the fly as they were recording their video. In Moodle, as with Canvas and Blackboard, you can allow a student to submit a video as an assignment. Students can use Media Lecture in the same way that I've shown a teacher using it if you want them to do that. Similarly, students could use the webcam capture to do their recording as well, and again now using HTML5. So this concludes today's presentation on version 6. Thanks everyone for watching today. We're now going to go into a Q&A session, so have your questions ready and we'll answer them as well as we can. Information on this webinar is available on the website as well, along with deep dives into all the new features.